Alright, we're going to do an instructional video showing you how to reboot your entire Commander system. We want to first start off by talking about the battery backups. Every store has either Oniax or the Eaton battery backup. Some have a mixture of both. What these things do, when the power goes out, they got a battery backup that will keep the system running for 15-20 minutes, and then when the battery dies in the backup, the whole system will die. When the power goes completely out and the battery backups go completely dead, most of the times they will not reboot themselves. You have to press the on-off button and hold it for 3 seconds. What you're looking at here are two Oniax. You can see there's a little indicator that says to turn on or turn off, press and hold for 3 seconds right here. So if your power goes completely off, power is restored but your register doesn't come up, you'll press and hold this button for 3 seconds. If the lights are on, the unit is on. But if there's no lights on here, then press and hold to turn this unit back on. The Eaton ones work the same way. There's a button at the very top, and you'll have to press it, hold it for 3 seconds to cut the unit on. You can also cut them off if you, for whatever reason you need to, by pressing and holding for 3 seconds, and the unit will turn itself off and there'll be no power coming out of the backup where all the equipment's plugged into. All right, the central part to your Ruby Commander system is in fact the Commander. Both registers are connected to the Commander through what they're calling the Siberia Zone router. Okay? On the Siberia Zone router, if you ever need to reboot it, it's just a simple plug on the right side of it. It just plugs out and plugs back in just like any DC powered equipment that you're used to. It's very easy, just unplug it, plug it back in. You should very seldom ever have to reboot this. If you look at your lights here, this top one right here is a heartbeat light. It should be blinking on and off, on and off. These other lights here should all be steady green, and then this bottom light, the status B light, should always be red. If anything's ever going wrong with your system and you don't have the heartbeat, you don't have these 3 green lights and that red light, then we've got a problem somewhere with connectivity. Okay? So that's your first thing you look at. On your Commander, everything's connected to the Commander through this Siberia. All right, on the front of your Commander, you should see A9 with the green power light on and this HB red light flashing. And you should see system OK here. Okay, so if you got a problem, look at your Commander. If you got the A9 and you got system OK, then most likely it's not a problem with the Commander. However, from time to time when we do have glitches, you will have to reboot the Commander. And to reboot the Commander, it's just a plug like you see in the back of any computer. It's an AC plug with the little square rounded edges on it. It's on the left side down at the bottom. Just reach in, unplug it. You'll have to wait about 5 minutes for the Commander to completely go dead. It's got internal batteries in it that takes it about 5 minutes for it to completely die. You'll know when it dies because there won't be any lights flashing at all up here. So watch here, wait till all the lights go out. It takes about 4 to 5 minutes. After all the lights go out, wait an additional 30 seconds and then plug the plug back into the back. You've rebooted your Commander. Okay? Alright, now let's move on to how to reboot your pin pad. Alright, to reboot your pin pad, and from time to time you'll have to reboot your pin pad on your checkout counter where the customer swipe the credit cards. You'll see this device and close to each pin pad somewhere. You may have to look under the counter and look for it, but each pin pad has one of these. To reboot it, you never fool with this Ethernet plug here. You always would unplug this 12-volt power supply. You unplug it, wait for the pin pad to die completely, and then plug it back in. That's all it takes to reboot the pin pad. Like I said, there's one for each pin pad, so you have to look under the counter and find it. Sometimes they're easy to find, sometimes you have to search for them. All right, now let's move on to rebooting the Ruby 2. Sometimes your Ruby 2, the screen will freeze up, and the only way to get it unfroze is to reboot the register. And to do that, on the side here, you need a little screwdriver. Take that out, and then there is a little small reset button. And to reboot, you would simply, using your finger only, the meat of your finger, when you press it into this reset hole, will depress the button. It's very easy to depress, and the meat of your finger should depress it. Press it, hold it for 3 to 5 seconds. When you let it go, the screen, you'll see the screen start to reboot. Okay. Now there is another way to reboot this register. That is the easiest way. But if your employee doesn't have a screwdriver, we need to keep these doors closed. But if you're trying to walk an employee through and they say, I don't have a screwdriver, I can't find a screwdriver, there is another way to reboot the register. All right, if you cannot reboot the Reboot 2 by depressing the reset button, if you can't, the employees can't find a screwdriver, another way to reboot it is by unplugging the power supply. I describe this as looking like a gigantic laptop power supply. That's what it looks like to me. And you unplug it just like you would your laptop. Just pull that power cord out there, wait for the register to die. It may take several minutes for it to die like this, but once you've unplugged it, it's just a wait till the register dies. Once it dies, wait about 30 more seconds and then plug it back in, and you've rebooted your Reboot 2. All right, one of the things that you may have to reboot from time to time dealing with your fuel is your Verifone fuel controller. The technicians refer to it as the FCI, but this is the thing that was put in your store. It's usually mounted to the wall underneath your counter somewhere or in the back room. All of them look identical to this one. It took the place of your Wayne site controller or your PAM 1000, whichever one you had in your store. If you got Wayne pumps, you had the site controller, the big gray box. If you've got Gilbarco pumps, then you had the silver looking box. This took the place of those things. All your fuel comes into here, and then from here the cables run to the back of the Commander. To reboot it, it's very simple. There's a plug on the end of each one of them. You just simply push that tab in, unplug it, wait about 30 seconds, plug it back in, and you're rebooted. Okay. Won't need to reboot that too often. Usually by the time we get to that point, there'll be a maintenance guy involved. But it's simple to reboot, so it won't hurt anything. So when all else fails, reboot it all. Reboot, unplug.